What's going on, y'all? My name's Rob. Welcome back to the Kentucky Chew. Alright folks, let's talk some whiskey. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a brand new release, something that was put out this year. It's a limited release. It only comes out one time a year, like I said, typically at the beginning of the year. It is personally a release that I look forward to. It's definitely one of my favorites, and so it actually is in my top 5 of my whiskeys in my collection, and that is what I did in the last video. So if you missed that video, go back and watch it, and you'll see a little bit more of my collection, more of the story of like how I started, where I'm at, where I'm going, and like I said, my top 5 whiskeys to date. And so without further ado, you may be able to already guess it. If you've been watching the channel, this bourbon has been sitting in every single frame, and patience is a virtue, my friends, and I have been patiently waiting to share this bottle with you all. And the one I'm talking about is the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. This is the 2023, and like I said, this is something I look forward to each year. The moment I tried this product, which was years ago now, it put Woodford back on the map for me. I've mentioned before, I was interested in essentially only collecting Buffalo Trace products at the time, and Woodford, I tasted Woodford Reserve Double Oaked before the Double Oaked, if that tells you anything about my journey with bourbon and whiskey. It's phenomenal. I don't know about this specific one, we'll find out in this video, but all the ones I've had in the past have been incredible for me. Not big variations, which is normal for Woodford. Once they do something, they're pretty good at repeating it. That's why they're one of the biggest distilleries in the nation, one of the most well-known. And so I love that Woodford has attempted to be creative and attempted to put out stuff that is going to capture our attention. This comes from their Master Distiller series. They put out things like I think it's toasted grain, 4 grain. They've got a 5 wood. They've got a few different variations, but the Double Oak to me is superior, and there are a lot of reasons why I specifically try to get my hands on it every year. The cons. Let's talk about the cons of this bottle and why it's become kind of a nightmare of a collector for people. One, smaller bottle. You can see this here, 375 milliliter. You're getting less whiskey for your money. That sucks. That's just what Woodford decided to do. And next con. This bottle was $80 this year. On this channel, we do not let that affect whether we like it or not. I'm going to stick true to just the nose, the taste, and the finish. But, you know, paying $80 for a smaller bottle of whiskey isn't my favorite thing to do when it comes to collecting bourbon. But I still like it enough to put this product in my top 5 of all whiskey. Third thing, released once a year, that's okay, but it's only available at Woodford. For obvious reasons, Woodford is a marketing genius. If you read about their story, they kind of were the trendsetters for getting people to actually do distillery tours, to come out and visit where they actually make yeah, genius. Love it. I love doing stuff like that. Like I said, I love the story and the history of whiskey and bourbon, but that's going to make it harder for people who don't live in Kentucky. Even if you live in Kentucky, it's going to be hard for you to get this bottle. Back in 2019, I was actually able to go and just pick a few up. I don't know if it wasn't as widely known yet. Maybe it hadn't caught fire then. Yeah, back then I was able to go. It was available for a few weeks, and you still had to go there, but you were able to. That next year, 2020, obviously there was a few things that happened in the world, but since then, this stuff is gone in a day or two. It makes it really hard. Shout out to my little sister who was able to go secure this for me the day it was released. I heard that it was sold out. I believe it was released on a Tuesday, and then it was sold out by Wednesday afternoon. Last year, I remember if you weren't able to get one, but you signed up for a few of their tours, I don't know which tours they were, at the end of the tour, you were able to purchase a Double Oak. The tours can get pretty expensive. I personally would rather just go buy it. Last year, I did not get my hands on it when it was released. I actually went to the distillery, tasted it, realized, yep, still love it, still like it, I want to get it, and I was fortunate enough to trade someone a few bottles in my collection to get some. Enough of me rambling, let's get to tasting this. Alright folks, so I'm going to be tasting this out of a Glencairn. We'll give ourselves a healthy pour. Not too healthy though, because like I said, smaller bottle. And if we like it, we gotta make it last. And whiskey's for sharing. So I already know I'm gonna be sharing this one with the buddies, with the fellas. So, real quick, something that I did want to make sure I pointed out and noted when it comes to the double oak. If you were like me when you were first collecting, there is a lot of words on these whiskey bottles sometimes, and there is a lot of terminology and verbiage when it comes to describing them, and it can get really confusing. I didn't want to stumble over my words and mess this up, so I wanted you to hear this straight from the internet, right, where we get all of our information now, and explain exactly, one, what double oaked is, what makes this the double oaked, and kind of what to expect with it. Double oak bourbon is matured in 2 sets of casks. So you've got the first one in the new charred oak barrels, and then in the second set, it will be put into what is heavily toasted and lightly charred oak barrels to give it that extra dose of flavor. And so just think of Woodford that went through the lifespan it needed to in the barrel for Woodford. They take that, they dump it into the new barrel, which was lightly charred, heavily toasted. I believe on Woodford's website it says it sits there for another 6 to 12 months, and then that's what the double oaked is. So all the double oaked is, it sits there another year, and then you're gonna get this product. What they're aiming for is what's exactly on the bottle. Spicier in character than double oak. I remember when I first tasted this, the 2019 version, that it had this smoky sweetness. That's what I called it, a smoky sweetness. Let's see how the nose does. Man, I've not had a drop of alcohol today. It's very late in the evening for me. And a lot of times, a bourbon will singe your nostrils, but this does not. Gosh, this is just fantastic. I could sit here and probably just smell this for about 15 minutes before I ever tasted it, which automatically makes this probably a pretty high score. I'm getting the chocolatey sweetness, almost like a toasted graham cracker. All right, folks, we gotta get to chewing. Happy chewing. Okay, that was a wild ride. That first sip was a wild ride. Delicious, delicious pour. Wow, folks, that's phenomenal. The minute it hit my lips, the sweet bomb exploded. Just could taste the sweetness of it. It mellowed out ever so slightly. And then on the back end, oak, but in a really good way. It's a good one, y'all. It's a good one. So Woodford sticks to that 90.4 proof. Like I said on the label, you're expecting it spicier in character than the double oak. The double oak for me is very sweet. I like that. And this just gives it that little bit more of an oaky flavor. You're gonna get the caramel, you're gonna get the vanilla, a little bit of cherry mixed in there for sure. And overall, guys, this is gonna be a good one. Highly, highly recommend it. Now, let's talk score. So I do a 1 through 10. If I say a 5 or above, I am recommending it. 5 to me is average. It is what you expect. It's not great, it's not bad. It just is bourbon, it's whiskey, it gets the job done. Anything higher than that, and we're getting into some good stuff. I am going to give the Woodford Double Oak 2023 7 flat. The nose is fantastic. I'm not surprised by that. The taste is incredible. The finish, and this is probably because it's 90.4 proof. I want it to linger longer. I want it to be there. I want to have that more mouth feel, that like oily type texture that you can get. But overall, really good. Really, really good. But let's find out how good. So I am fortunate enough to have a little bit of the bottle that started it off for me with Woodford Double Oak. This is the 2019. These are gonna be the exact same thing, just released, obviously. One came out in 2020, the other one came out in 2024. I want to see how it matches up. see how if I can taste the difference, anything noticeably stand out between one or the other. Just see how consistent Woodford has been with this release. Really nice color, by the way. Give it a nice little whirl. Open up those flavors. Nose is pretty spot on. Yep. Okay, not getting anything too different. It's going for the kill. Interesting. 2023. Okay, I have a decision. That was pretty easy for me. That was quick. Usually it's not that fast. 2023 is better. Here's why. I mentioned with the 2023 that the flavor bomb exploded. You had the sweetness on the front end. It mellowed out just slightly. It is only 90.4 proof. And then that oak came in on the back end to really finish it off. Overall, though, there wasn't much of a finish. The 2019 just tasted lighter. Frankly, that could be because this bottle's been open for a few years. I store all my bottles in my basement here where it is. It's cooler temperature, it is away from the sun. That's about the best I can do with my collection for now, but it's not uncommon for there to be a little bit of variation the longer your bottles sit open. So that might have something to do with it. Let's just assume it doesn't though. And for, you know, comparison, just going pound for pound against each other, I'm gonna give the edge to the 2023. Yep. 2023 wins, folks. Really glad that I was able to get this bottle. Again, shout out to my little sister. My family is very aware of my my hobby and my collection, and they know how much I enjoy collecting whiskey and bourbon, and so shout out to them for helping me get this one. For me, I'm going to keep trying to collect this. I'm going to be on the lookout again 2025. That's the thing, right? We talk about hunting and collecting bourbon on here. Would I pay secondary for this price? That is going to depend. This bottle, it used to be after tax and everything, you'd walk away close to $60. This was like $85 now. It's kind of worth it. Again, once a year release. You are not going to get this unless you're at the distillery, you make a trade, or you're paying for the secondary market. It's not sitting on the shelves. Once it's gone, it's gone. Obviously, I'd rather not pay $80 to $100 for this bottle all the time, but if I have to pay that in order to get my hands on one just to try it again and see if I love it, I'm comfortable spending that. Not everyone's gonna like this bourbon. If you like whiskey and bourbon at all, I think you would. You know, everyone's gonna have their threshold of where they don't wanna go overspending. And for me, I'm okay with the $100 mark on this. So with that being said, if I can find this secondary for $100 to $120, I would probably go ahead and jump on it. I would probably first make a trade of some sort. That's how I like to get the bottles that I wasn't able to buy retail price. But other than that, you know, nationwide, I see these things go upward of $200 something. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Just stick to the Woodford Double Oaked at that point. I mean, is there a difference? I don't know. Let's find out. I think there is. But maybe one day I'll compare them and see if I'm just full of it or if I'm actually telling you all the truth. But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in again. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you were able to get your hands on this, open it up, give it a try. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. Again, I gave this a 7 out of 10. Really curious to see if you've tasted it and what you give it. Until next time, happy chewing.